All right. Hi, everybody. Happy March. Linda Joy Myers here, and I'm so happy to be with my friend and fellow memoir and fiction writer, Leslie Johansson Knack. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, nice to see you. Thank you for
Here we
having me.
are, you with all your beautiful books behind you. So, Leslie and I have known each other for a while. I'll tell you a little bit about her first and then go into all that. She is the author of two award-winning books, her debut memoir 14 and her historical novel. Then her sequel, recently published this last year, is 19, A Daughter's Memoir of Reckoning and Recovery. So your memoirs, Leslie, are down to the bone of all the truths of what you went through and what happened, and so admire your ability to do that. And so not and 14, I mentioned it in the newsletter. So I want you to tell about 14 and then your follow-up memoir 19. And also, Leslie graduated from UCLA with a degree in English literature and did overcome the traumas that you're going to be hearing about. And she wrote a historical novel, The Blue Butterfly, which tell us who that's about.
Marion Davies, the silent film star, and
Yeah.
William Randolph Hearst's mistress.
Yeah, so interesting. Good job. That's complicated stuff to research, I'd imagine. I don't know how much they were willing to put into writing.
Well, that was part of the problem.
I thought the newspaper man who didn't want to put stuff in writing.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's talk about all the things. I mean, first, I think you were our guest, was it 5 years ago for 19, something like that? A
I don't think
while.
I've ever done this with you before. Really?
I think it was a long time ago when your memoir first came out.
When
I
14 came out in 2015.
Yeah, it was so long ago, I can't remember that far back,
Yeah.
and neither can
Yeah.
you. So
It was a long time ago, 10
I
years
think
ago.
you were because you were my student first, and
Yes.
then I'm sure I would have wanted to have you on here. So we'll just pretend that you were a guest, whether you were or not. But I know
Okay.
we've talked so much about your book, so that's what makes me think that you were a guest. And so tell everybody what 14 is about and what some of the main themes are, and then we'll go on to what led you to write 19 and what's happening there.
Okay. Well, I've always wanted to write, and I've been waiting in my life to be a writer. And I had a lot of other things to do, run a business and raise a family and be married and do all that. And so I started writing in my early 50s. 14 is the only story I ever thought I would write about. It really was the story that was on my heart for so many years because it's a trauma that I have had to deal with my whole life, really trying to get over all of what happened. My father was from Norway. He came to America and met my mother, and they had three little girls, one, two, three. And once they had three little girls, my mom was 22 and she um, had mental illness show. So at that point, later after she had the kids, us.
Hmm.
And my dad took custody of us. They got divorced. My mom was in and out of mental hospitals, and my dad took custody, and we lived on a ranch in Northern California, like Laura Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie. And there's some of that in 14. And then he sold the ranch, and his dream was to take his three daughters and sail around the world. This was in the early 1970s. Nobody ever really, we never knew anyone who did that. That was kind of like a novel thing for him. He thought outside the box, he just wanted the American dream so bad. So we moved, we sold the ranch, moved aboard the boat, and we lived on the boat for 2 years. And all during this time, my father was very difficult and he was very demanding and he was very difficult. And I was sort of his favorite. I was the middle daughter and I was pretty capable and I could do just about anything. He taught us how to sail and I took to sailing right away. My older sister was seasick most of the time. My little sister was petite and really not capable on deck to help. And so it kind of fell to me. And we learned how to sail the boat all by ourselves. And we took off to French Polynesia in 1975 when I was 14.
Mhm.
And leading up to this, my father had started abusing me when I was 9, and he did some things when we moved aboard the boat, which was he made us sleep naked, he made us not shave our legs, we couldn't wear bras, we had all of this stuff happening while we were coming of age and living on a boat and already feeling so different at school and so anyway, it was just one trauma after another trauma, and then leaving on the boat was a big trauma. I did not want to go on this trip with him. I didn't want to be stuck on a boat, and we had this sort of moment at sea about, I don't know, 15 days at sea on our way to the first our first island, which was 23 days away, and I really felt like he was coming for me. He separated me from my sisters. He put me in the bath cabin, and
Mhm.
I was just scared out of my wits all the time and still having to do watches and cook and do all the chores and do the laundry and do everything aboard the boat that I was supposed to be doing. And
Mhm.
eventually I started getting really angsty about it and thinking, okay, come on, let's do this. If you're coming for me, let's go because I'm going to fight you, and
Oh.
I kind of got really feisty about the whole thing. So,
Mhm.
anyway, we have it out one night, and that's in the book. And he doesn't really touch me after that, but I didn't know that then. I lived in fear every day. And we made it to Tahiti. We sailed the Marquesas Islands and the Tuamotu Islands, and we made it to the Society Islands. And then my little sister was hit by a car
Ah.
and had to go back to the United States because they had very limited medical in Tahiti in
Mhm.
1975. And my dad needed to make money for our.
Muted.
Whoops. Hold on one second.
Unmute.
I'm having a mute problem here.
No, she did it.
Leslie, Leslie, we're having a mute problem. Can you unmute
Yeah,
again? I don't know what happened.
okay. Can you
Sorry.
hear me?
Yes, you were at the
Okay.
Mar you were breaking away. You were at the Marquesas Islands. Yeah.
So my dad needed to make some money, so he decided he would deliver a boat, and there was a boat that needed to go back to San Diego. So my older sister, my younger sister, and my mom, who was visiting at the time, went back to Canada, and I went with my dad as crew, and we picked up 3 other people to crew back on this 60-foot boat, and we were 45 days at sea coming back from Tahiti to San Diego.
Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long time. And we hit a big storm off the coast of California. And so all of that is in 14. And I just tell you the story like I'm bringing you along. I'm telling you, I'm showing you what happened. You're in the room with me and we're
Very visceral that I mean, I
extreme.
was seasick while I read it, practically,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so very worried for you.
Yeah. So that was really the foundation of all my abuse and my fear and worry and so that 14, I finished that and we didn't know where to finish it because the story really wasn't over. And so we finished it off the coast of California before we actually make landfall in this boat that we're delivering. And so that was the end. And the big question everyone had after the book came out was what happens next?
Yes,
What
yes.
happens next? What happened to your sister? What happened to your boat? And I was just like, wow, they want more. Okay, well, I guess that's great.
Yeah.
But my older sister, Monica, was struggling with addiction herself. And 6 months after the book came out, 14 came out, she died of an overdose.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's just, they say jail's institution and death are our lot in life if we're addicts or alcoholics. And
Mm.
so my sister struggled her whole life with it. And um,
She's
so
had her own demons to deal with, clearly.
She really did. She really did. And I just couldn't write about my family anymore at that point. I just needed a break and I was just a wreck. And
Yeah, I bet.
so
Hmm.
that's why I took a couple years off, and that's when I wrote The Blue Butterfly.
Well, such a great thing. I mean, writing in one genre, and we both have, but it's so fascinating then. Tell us a little bit about what it was like to then write in fiction for you.
Yeah, it was a relief. It was really a relief in a lot of ways because when I start writing my own story, it's like I'm telling the whole thing and thinking I'm going to edit it out later, and then it never gets edited out later. And I think, ooh, I really told the whole truth there, I gave it all. But when you're writing fiction, it's different. But this is biographical historical fiction. So I
Mhm.
was keeping to her life and I was really telling her story. And I didn't have a lot of leeway other than writing the scenes and the dialogue. The events of her life were what drove the story. And the reason I wanted to write the book was I was at Hearst Castle in I don't know, it was 2017 or 2016. And the docent said, "Did you know that Marion Davies loaned William Randolph Hearst $1 million in 1937 when he was about to go bankrupt?"
Wow.
This was during the Depression. There was a lot of, suffering in the country. And anyway, and
Mhm.
I was like, no, I don't know that. And why don't I know that? And why aren't we telling stories of the women who do heroic things in our lives? It's like, why aren't we telling this story? So
Mhm.
I went home and Googled a bunch of stuff and discovered that no one had written a book about her life, that she had one
Wow.
biography that came out shortly after she died in 1961, and it was almost out of print. But nobody really knew much about her childhood, and that really was like, well, I wonder what happened to her. And the more I dug, the more interesting it got, and the more fascinating. And I felt like, I was getting to know her, and
Mm.
I don't know. I just had a really fun time doing it, forgetting about my own story and my own trajectory and focusing
She
on
had her own problems too, so yeah.
she did. She did. We shared the alcoholism thing, she and I, so I can relate to her struggling with drugs and alcohol, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for telling us about that. It's a really good book, and I learned. I mean, she's known. It depends on whether you want to read old movies and another era. That's when she was more known. But now with your book, she can be discovered anew now.
yeah.
Then something brought you back to writing, and tell us about what happened in your new book.
So I guess I had made a commitment when 14 came out that I would finish the story, to myself. I made the commitment and it just felt like it was unfinished. And I kept getting emails from people and I kept, people saying, "Are you going to write the second book? I just finished it and what's going to happen next? Please write the next book." And it was like, okay, well, I mean, I really kind of need to do this. And
Mhm.
so it I was reluctant because in 14 I feel like I was telling a story where I was the victim. And I was the victim of my father. But in 19 I'm coming of age and I'm really acting out and I'm really doing some bad things, and I guess it's all born of my childhood because that's what I
Yeah,
knew. But it's hard to share those kind of secrets publicly when
about
you do
yourself.
things that you're not proud of, and things happen. And so, it took more bravery and more courage to tell
Mhm.
19 than it did to tell 14.
Well,
14 was,
I can see that. I mean, it's a rough story about your own struggle with, like you said, alcoholism, drugs, men, everything.
man,
But you were anyone who knew 14, well, of course, I'm wearing my psychotherapist hat when I'm reading it, but I think it's accessible to everybody. Of course, you're going to have that kind of trouble. I mean, because you weren't in an environment where you were taught A, safety, and B, that to be who you are and not just be at somebody's mercy, kind of. So then you create your own world of toughness and tough things that happen, and off
And
we
I'm
go.
and I'm
Mhm.
pretty hard on myself. I hold the bar pretty high. I don't know. I guess I got that from my father. You know,
Mhm.
he did some horrific things, but he also did some pretty amazing things. He's like on the spectrum, bad and good. There's nothing in between with him. And so I'm super proud of most of the things I learned to do. And I mean, the stuff that he exposed us to and the stuff I rose to and the lessons I learned. I mean, all that stuff, the independence, all that, but it came at a cost. Um,
Mhm.
but like you're saying, it's difficult when you move forward in life because you don't know anything else. You just keep making bad choices.
The same mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, trying to deal with abuse means people are gonna be trying to cover up feelings and not have feelings, and
And
you
I
know.
was pushing all this stuff down, all this toxic stuff from my childhood. I didn't tell anyone. I mean, the first time he French kissed me when I was 9, I mean,
um,
everything after that was just, I was pushing it down and I was just acting like it didn't matter, but it was starting to fill up.
yeah,
And as I got older, it really started filling up and I had trouble keeping it down because
yeah.
it, it was eating me alive inside. And,
Well, it was
so
years and years and years of all of that, and not protected. So say more about, so one of the points we're going to talk about is writing about our parents while they're alive and after they've passed. So I
right.
don't know the situation with your parents for either book. Can you talk about that?
Sure. So my mom lived until just a few years ago. She was 82 when she passed and pretty much took care of her the last 10 years of her life. And
Mm,
she was in and out of mental hospitals and she tried to get sober, but she was just manipulative and abusive in so many ways, and it was really difficult to be her daughter and to believe that she had my best interests at heart. I felt like the mother most of the time, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So she was
But
around for my whole life.
she took care of her in spite of all of that.
Well, I felt like I didn't have a choice. My older sister had passed away, and my younger sister had disowned her.
Oh.
So it was
The
like,
one who
okay,
made your way with both parents, though. You're the one, the middle girl who just, yeah,
yeah,
hung in there, had to sort of. Yeah,
sort of, because if I would have said, no, I don't want to take this from you anymore, she would have went homeless. I know she would have went homeless, and I don't think I could have lived with myself if she did that.
yeah.
So I just went to therapy and I worked on my stuff and I set my boundaries and I learned how to deal with her and her
Mhm.
toxic ways. And
Mhm.
I just made it through. I almost gave up several times in therapy. At one point, I said, I don't think I can do this anymore. It's tearing my marriage apart. It's tearing me apart. And my therapist looked at me and she said, it's okay. You can stop. You've done everything you can. No one's asked you to take this on. And just by her saying and giving me permission to quit, I knew I would finish
Yeah.
because it was a choice at that point. It's like before I admitted all that, I said, I don't think I can do this. I was taking it all on. I felt like it was, and then I just released it all. And then I thought, no, I think I can do this. I'll
You
finish
mean
it.
take care of your mother, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Because then I couldn't live with myself if she went homeless. And
Yeah, it's like where do we stand with basically compassion, you
yeah,
know, is what
but
it
you can
comes.
run out of that, you know?
Well, right, but you went to the gas station and got refilled with you and your therapist's work,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
found those places inside of you that you did have that, because you developed so much strength also through all the things.
Well, it does make you be resilient growing up the way I grew up. So I guess I'm in the marathon or whatever, but life's pretty easy now. She's gone, and my father, so this is in 19. He passed away when I was 19, which is why the book is called 19. So he died in his own airplane in Mexico. It crashed with my newly discovered half brother from Norway. Didn't know he had a family over there until I was 16. And I had a
Mm.
brother, got introduced to him, and he came over and they went to Mexico in his plane and with his fiance from Sweden. And she lived, and my dad and my brother died
Oh
in
boy.
1980. So
So who was the woman? Your dad's fiance or your
my
brother's fiance?
dad's,
Oh,
no, my
dad.
dad's fiance, she was like 24,
Oh boy.
25. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He was very much into young women.
Mm.
Anyway, yeah, she fell 10,000 feet. The plane broke apart in the air
Wow.
south of Puerto Vallarta, and she fell about 10,000 feet attached to her seat and landed in a tree and was
Saved by
discovered.
the seat and the tree. Yeah.
She
Wow.
was, and then she was carried out by the villagers that were nearby. These Mexican teenagers carried her out to the hospital and drove her to Puerto Vallarta, which was 6 hours away.
I'm gonna say, what
It's
a
quite a
story.
tra yeah, quite a story. Just that, yeah,
Well, so much, so much, so much to your story. So you're spending then what how long did it take you to write 19? It's a big book.
yeah. I think it probably took 3 years.
Hmm.
I did most of the meat of the writing over the winter of 2023 because we stayed down in Mexico. We rented a house down there for the winter.
Mm.
And I would get up at 7 a.m. and I would write my pages for 4 hours or so until I couldn't do it anymore. And I would send my pages to my editor and I would send my pages to my therapist.
Good
And then
system.
I had to go back into therapy writing this book because it was
Sure.
so traumatic. It was
Oh,
just,
very. Yeah.
and I had done all this work on it and still
Oh,
reliving it for the book brought it on another level.
well, everyone listening here understands what you're talking
Right.
about, and different people have different experiences with that, but it's an extremely intense story to read. I mean, sometimes I had to put it down. I just, because I knew you somewhat, I'm like, I just had to hang out with you and
Yeah.
the rest of you and not just your tough story and take it in. So powerful writing too, I have to say, because you some parts are in scene and some parts you just need to tell,
Yeah.
you know, and you use all the different techniques, of course, to get.
Well, I learned it from you and Brooke in the Write Your Memoir in 6 Months class in
Yeah,
2013. I took that. I looked it up. I was like, wow, I can't believe Linda
so
Joy.
long ago. I
Yeah.
remember reading your pages the first time. Yeah, wow. Woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know you were one of the early students, I think. Yeah. So, but you did really do so well. And so talk about writing. Well, there's the writing, then there's the publishing,
Yeah.
and your stories, particularly, well, both of them, really, they're very exposing, literally, in many ways, emotionally, certainly. So, how do you handle, there you are, and you know what you're doing, and certainly by 19 and even 14, you're going to make this public. So, how do you manage, or how did you, or how do you manage issues of shame and all that stuff? Because they're part of your story all along, also.
Yeah. It's, oh. this subject. Okay, so of course I grew up feeling shameful, but I reject it. I reject it. I reject it. It's not my shame. It's my father's shame. It's my father's shame, and the shame needs to change sides. It needs to not be with the victim. The victim is the victim.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so when I wrote 14, I really wasn't as clear as I am now on this whole idea. So I
Mhm.
gave everything I could because I wanted you to know what I went through because I have this really strong belief that I want my books to be part of whatever history is being recorded right now
Mhm.
for women who have been abused and women
Ah,
who have gone through. There is a record now that is being laid down by all the brave women across the world who are writing and speaking and about abuse and about the things that they've endured in the home or in the workplace or anywhere in our patriarchal society. So I want my story to be part of that, and it's very important to me because I don't know what the answer is because the shame really needs to switch sides, and I don't know how that happens. But when 14 came out, I gave my whole heart, and I felt really exposed.
yeah.
And I had a really hard time for a while after the book came out,
Mhm.
and I kind of shrunk from it. And people looked at me different because they were reading my book and my secrets and all the things that happened to me, and they were like amazed in not a good way sometimes. I mean, sometimes they were amazed in a good way, and other times they would like, wow, that really happened to you? I mean, that kind of
People that
stuff.
you knew already, people,
Yeah, that
friends.
they're like, that kind of stuff goes on. I mean, I never knew anyone
Ugh.
and it's like, oh, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit and justify what happened to me. I told you in my book, I gave my heart and soul, and I felt so it did cost me a little bit of emotional. I was stung a little bit by it, but I was also completely bowled over by the love and support I got from so many people and so many strangers and young girls who were writing to me. Like I would do these book events, and these girls would come up with the book in their hand, and they were like sticky notes on the side, and they're like, I read this book 5 times, I love it. It's like, wow, this
Oh.
is why I did it. This is why I did it. Thank God, I can remember them and know that it's not just about the fact that some people don't get it, some people don't understand, or they don't want to hear or know that this kind of stuff goes on.
Oh, the world is, yeah, such denial. I mean, of course, as a therapist, I know about these things, but they're really over the years, I would think I would, and I had a lot of people who talked about this stuff in my practice that were,
Sure.
they never filled out any form that the US government sent out about were you abused, which is how they get statistics. I
Yes.
haven't called on most of the people that any of us know. And so, what's clear is that the few people in the regular society that know about it are cops, doctors, nurses, mental health people,
They're on the front line. Yeah.
yeah, that's who knows. The rest of the people are like, what? That doesn't happen in America, kind of thing, or anywhere. So I love your passion about being part of the record, being part
Yes.
of women's history. This is Women's History Month.
This is women's
Congratulations.
history.
Yeah,
And the women all across, like what's her name's Giselle Pelicot in
yes,
France. What
France.
a heroine she is. I admire her so much. And Virginia Gouffre
Yeah,
with the Epstein files. I mean, just so many brave women. And I want to be standing next to them and
you are
saying,
already.
yeah. So anyway, that was important to me. And so the
Well,
shame thing is a tough subject to talk about because I don't feel shame anymore about it, but I grew
mhm,
up just consumed with it. You
of
know, I
course.
I just couldn't escape myself.
Well, you knew you knew what he was doing was wrong, and
Yeah.
you couldn't escape him
Yeah.
first, and then it lodges. It does. it is it's so interesting to me as a therapist also through the years is that of course when it happened to me too. So I mean I know about it from the inside. We take on the shame partly because it's part of our own ethic that it's wrong. And so we feel ashamed because we
Right.
know it's wrong, even if we couldn't stop it.
Right.
Part of our own ethic
Or
that,
if your body has a response
yeah,
you're ashamed of, you're like, okay,
yes,
this is not how it's really a difficult thing. And so
yeah, it's
anyway,
crazy making. Yeah, it is. But the shame, so then this is what happens with healing of all sorts, but is it's not my shame. It really
right.
doesn't belong to me, but it takes, as you know, a lot of work, a lot of therapy, a lot of self-compassion in order to
Yes.
get there. And I
Yes.
think the thing that I'm passionate about is the idea that with writing our story, we for one thing, you've heard me talk about this before, I'm sure, but this is my soapbox. We become our own witness to ourselves when we were younger, the younger self, and we become a narrator and a storyteller that takes that story on and witnesses it for that child, for that young person.
That's right.
And that's what's healing. And then, of course, when we are witnessed by other people, other compassionate people, then that's also part of the healing, which is, of course, amazing and beautiful what happened to you in the bookstores. And I don't know about you, but I remember being much younger and reading a book that was like, what? Oh my God. And it spoke to me so strongly. And I'd crawl up to the author with the book in my hand. I mean, this is part of that cycle of oh, thank you for writing the thing I needed to read
Exactly. Exactly. Yes. I
that
was a
you wish you
voracious
could have
reader.
read.
Yes. Yes. I was a voracious reader. And yes, I had all those experiences where I just wanted to be inside the book and in the world.
Totally relate to that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, um, I just think that your message is so powerful about this empowerment of us as writing a story where there is victimization. I mean, people say so casually, well, just don't be a victim. Well, I'm sorry. I mean, some people actually are victims because they were victimized. And so that has to be held as one part of a healing conversation. And then there's another part after the witnessing and the listening that is all right, now we can transition into not wearing the identity of victim forever, doing
Right.
something else. But some people think we or people should skip over the first part and don't be a victim, don't talk about it, don't essentially don't write about the pain because when you're writing about the pain, it's coming from that hurt place.
Yeah. Yeah. And but we never talk about the fact that we are so integrated into the patriarchy in our thinking, in our actions, and our acceptance of behaviors, and our way that we talk about things, the way we identify. It's all seen through the eyes of the patriarchy.
Yeah.
And it's not every man that's a problem, but it is always a man who is the problem.
Mhm.
Uh, so not
Yep.
every man. I'm married to a good guy. There are lots of good guys in the world, but you can't tell them apart as you're walking down the street. You can't tell which guy's a good guy and which guy's not. And the world is set up for men, and we are guests in this world,
Oh,
and
that's interesting.
we are, and
Mhm.
I'm mad about it.
Oh, good. I see that. That's good. I'm glad we're talking.
I'm mad about it, and I want my story out there, and I want people to know it. And 100 years from now, when I'm not here, maybe someone's going to read it, and it's going to be like, yes, because I think 100 years from now, we're going to look back on this time, and we're going to be like, this was the beginning of the revolution
Or
of how it
something.
all got changed because people were brave enough, like with all the church stuff, all the Epstein stuff, all the, all the stuff everywhere. People are speaking everywhere on all facets of life. And so it's really, really good. It's really good. And I want to be part of it. So,
You're already part of it.
yeah. Well, I mean, I am, but that has been my goal is to be part of it. I just want to be on the record. Happen to
Well,
me.
I'm so glad you are and that you've done this work and really shining a light for younger people, for everyone really. I mean, there's people on this call that have had their own struggle,
Sure.
whoever they are, and their own like, do I dare write my truth? Do I dare, can I be brave and really write these things down that are painful to write or challenging to write or shameful still to write, whether they should be or shouldn't be, they are for a certain period in our lives. I mean, I had terrible shame attacks when I was writing Don't Call Me Mother, let alone when it was published. Oh my God. But by the time I got that far, because it took me 1,000 years to write
Yeah.
Don't Call Me Mother, by the time I finally got it published, I'd had an extra 15 years of therapy and
Right.
and I had done by the time and also when we get published, we've written it, edited it, written it, edited it till we're kind of sick of it. It's like, yeah, okay, now it's a story over there that's done, and then it takes off and it has its own life.
That's right. And the hardest part, one of the hardest parts I had with writing both of the books is packaging my life.
Yeah.
It's like my life was like this. There was all of this happened to me in both of these books, but other things happened too. But
Mm,
you have to decide because you can't tell everything. And so you're
mm,
packaging your life in a way
mm.
to make a point about something. And it's like, well, what point are you trying to make here? And you can't just tell everything and you can't go on and on and on forever. It's going to be edited, like you said, and it's about coming up, and it's really an odd thing to take your life and package it
Yeah.
in a way that you are going to talk to people about your life.
Mm.
It's a whole different thing than actually living it and going through the therapy of it and then trying to write about it and get it out there in a coherent, cohesive way that people will relate to and understand. And then, doing talks like this, it's like, it's like you're talking about yourself like you're not even yourself. You're talking about who you were before. And it's like this, it's a whole different weird kind of thing.
Well, you're talking about an objectification of the story, you
Yes,
know.
it's
Mhm.
not, it doesn't come naturally for some of us. Maybe it does. I don't know. I always wanted to be a writer, and so I always was writing things and stories, and I could see myself and separate myself. And I never wrote stories really about myself. I wrote stories about things I saw. And so I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I didn't know that I would go through that process when I wrote these two books.
Well, how can you know? I mean, but I appreciate you talking about it. Really, nobody else has talked about that. This idea of how we have to package, which of course we do, because all the teachers say, so what's your structure? And what do you, but it's funny that you're bringing this up because I'm writing this new book about writing a healing memoir. And my first draft to my developmental editor, I left out structure. I suppose I was rebelling against, you know, but because it's a healing memoir, we don't really know. I didn't want to shoehorn people into a structure. But then I talked to my editor and she said, well, most people want a little bit of guidance. You probably, say something about it. And so I am, but I'm coming at it from you have to discover it because when you're on a healing journey, you're going to be on the journey toward figuring the story out and trying to come up with what to include, the scenes and turning points and all of that. So you're driving in the dark, really. You don't really know what you're structure is. And I wanted to support that over just slap the craft of structure right onto your pain and drive
Right.
away. I didn't. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah, and the marketing of it is also a thing that's really wooey. It's really kind of crazy to take your story and go, okay, now how can I market this so people will want to read it?
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, did I not give enough already? Now I have to think about ways to market this and I have to
Would you
come
like
up
to
with,
read about my abusive childhood?
well, you don't want to say that, right?
I know, but
When 14 came out, I went to yacht clubs because I really focused on the sailing.
ah,
And I didn't really talk about the abuse from the podium when I would give talks. I
that's
guess I just
safer.
wasn't ready to talk about it publicly in front of a whole crowd of people. I would talk privately about it.
Hmm.
But I tried to really talk about the adventure of sailing because it was such a big part of my childhood, and I still love sailing today. And I had enough sailing by the time we finished 19. We did a lot of sailing in 19 too. By the time we finished, I almost had enough time to get my captain's license, and I was only
Wow.
17 years old. So I had a lot of time at sea, and I had a lot of time to commune with the ocean and the spirit of goodness. That's the part that really filled me up was the nature and the goodness and the ocean and the dolphins and the whales and the fish and just being out in nature was such a healing thing.
You would have survived because of that,
Yeah.
because you had that also.
Yeah, and I had that a little bit when we lived on the ranch and I would run away. My dad wouldn't let us wear shirts when we were starting to develop and we were running all through the ranch and I, it, there's a scene in the book that's like anyway, I'm running up to my favorite boulders where I'm going to write my stories and hide and write my stories. I'm 9 or I'm 8 or whatever. And I just lost my train of thought. What was my point?
Uh,
What was I saying?
I don't
Sorry.
know. I'm just going on the flow with you.
Yeah.
Well, you
Um,
were running away and you couldn't wear shirts, but you were on
yeah,
the
that was
ranch
like
enjoying,
that
you
was
were
like
enjoying nature,
yeah,
enjoying,
oh, the nature thing. So
yeah,
that's when I really, when I was 8 and 9, really felt connected to nature and the big oak trees and the grass and everything that was around me there. It was just like there was you could hear the wind in the trees and it was just like I could feel a connection to it all. And I was so glad later because
yeah.
that's what really kept me alive. I'm believing that there was still good when my father got really difficult with us.
I
Um,
had it in a different way, but smaller way, but there were times when I would just stand outside and feel the wind and
yeah,
hear it and smell the weather and because I wasn't safe inside the house, so I'm standing outside and then I'm like, okay,
right,
okay, now I can go back in, you know.
right, right,
So that's I think it's a spiritual connection that's, bigger than we are that allows that helps with that resilience maybe,
right,
you know.
right, right.
So, are you writing another book? What's happening?
So I'm not right now writing. I really am the kind of writer that needs to be inspired. I don't know if
Uh,
I'm gonna write another book. I'm open to it and I'm like, okay, universe, whatever book I'm supposed to write, please infuse me with the
please let me
inspiration.
know. I
Because
hear you.
I don't really know. I got inspired by Marion Davies and I just sort of ran with it.
Mhm.
And I felt like I channeled her when I wrote that book and I was really proud of it and I worked really hard on it. And
Mhm.
so I don't know what I'm going to do. I like historical fiction. I might write another historical fiction. We'll see. My daughter wants to write a book with me.
Hmm.
My daughter Marina wants to write a book, a mother-daughter rom-com. And I'm all about the rom-com now. I'm ready to make some money and
Wow.
I'm ready to have fun.
Well, those rom-com people have a lot of fun. I have a couple of friends that go to the meetings and go to the conferences and laugh for 3 days straight, you know.
I want that. I want that. Yes.
Sounds like a healing kind of thing to do. But I think, what's wonderful is that when you've got all that creativity and you can do whatever, if you decide to go do that, you will do it, and your daughter, my goodness, not every daughter wants to do that with their mother. So
Right? So that's a gift. So I feel like that's a gift I should take before I get too old.
not too old yet at all. Well, I'm so glad we got to talk about all of this because you really are bringing your passion, to our
Yeah,
conversation, which I love. And
thanks.
that's what I noticed when I met you too in person. You were like, you have all this really great energy, and so that was wonderful.
Thanks, Joy. It was
So
great meeting you too.
I know we had fun.
I feel like I've known you online for a decade, and finally we got to meet in person, and it was just
Yeah,
really special. I was
it
glad for that.
was. Yeah, it really was. Yeah, me too. So let's see if there are questions and comments. I've just been focused on you. I haven't been looking at anything else. Yeah, let me just see what's going on over here. So Lynn says, women taking control of their own lives, telling their truths, and encouraging others to do the same. She's commenting on what you said. So
Totally agree.
very, very much, very important. And Evelyn says, did you feel, I think you might have answered this some, but you can say more if you wish. Did you feel relieved to have gotten your traumas off your chest?
Um, no, I mean, it didn't feel like a relief because it was a whole, like I said about the packaging thing and
Ah,
getting it out in the world, and the book then lives on its own and it sort of has a life of its own, and it's not my story anymore. And Um, I got my
mm,
relief from doing my therapy and doing my sobriety and really trying to raise healthy kids in a home that
mm.
was a home like I wanted to be raised in. Our
Yeah.
kids had their own bedrooms, they got clean clothes, you know. I mean, they got to go to school dances. I didn't get any of that.
Mm,
There's a lot traditional stuff I didn't get. But then when we gave that to the kids and they learned about my story, they're like, "Well, I want to sail to Tahiti, I want to go there." And it's like, you always want what you can't have or what you
yeah.
don't have. Grass is always greener. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hope I answered that.
So what relief is, yeah, you explained about it. In a way, it's relief in that you got it out of your body, but
Yes,
it doesn't take, I mean, nothing completely goes away that we go through. It's still around in one way or another. It shows up in dreams or memories, or, I mean, like you
oh,
said,
for
you're
sure.
living a life. It's bigger than your book.
For sure. And I still struggle with this fear. And
Mm.
I sometimes it just comes over me and I don't know, like I need
Um,
the doors locked. I need to feel safe. I want to be in bed under the covers. There's certain comfort things. And I never know when it's gonna come and
um, it's like
overtake
the
me.
feeling of grief that I've experienced in the last year.
Yes.
Sometimes a feeling will just show up for no particular
Yes.
in that time frame reason.
Yes.
It lingers because it's in your body and it was etched within you for years and years and years.
Yes.
So that's makes sense to me that that would happen. I'm sorry, but yeah, I
Yeah.
understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, someone else, so Elena says, thank you for your bravery and story of redemption. Happy that you are thriving now and fashioning a contributing, fulfilling, and loving life. Appreciate your honesty at exposing the importance of rebelling against this male dominated society. You gave me hope. Thanks, Elena. I know where you're coming from. That's
Thanks,
beautiful.
Elena. That's great. Well, good luck on your journey for sure.
Yeah. So, Betsy is always, Barker is always contributing helpful things. She says, Harlequin has a free email newsletter for writing more romance.
Thank you. I'm gonna be signing up for that.
It's good to know. Thanks, Betsy. Yeah, and Anne is thanking you, and we have a couple people with their hand up.
Oh, nice.
So let's go to them. And Betsy also commented about Al-Anon and all kinds of
Oh yeah,
good.
Al-Anon for sure.
Yeah,
ACA for sure.
yeah.
Big supporter of both of those programs.
Mhm. So Joan, would you like to speak?
Yes, Leslie, first of all, thank you. And I can hardly wait to read 14 and 19.
Thank you so much. I
I'm,
appreciate
I'm
that.
going to order it immediately on Amazon.
Thank you so much. I
Awesome.
appreciate that.
Um,
Thanks. Go ahead.
what I want to know is who was your publisher and editors for your three books that you wrote?
Okay, so my publisher is She Writes Press, Brooke Warner, and for all three books. And Brooke has edited, and Linda Joy, I've worked with Linda Joy early on with 14, and I worked with Brooke as well. Brooke and I wrote The Blue Butterfly back and forth, editing pages back and forth during the pandemic. It
Mhm.
came out in 2022, and I've used Susie Vitello as a developmental editor in Portland. She's very good. And
Mhm.
I've used Jennifer Silva Redmond, who's in San Diego. Well, she's
Oh
up
yeah.
here now on her boat. She's a sailor.
Hmm.
She's up here living on her boat, but she's originally from San Diego.
Mhm.
And um, who else have I used?
Yeah. Well, the
Maybe
press
that's
has various people that they recommend. So,
yes,
that's how you find them.
yes,
Thanks.
Thank
yes.
Thanks, Joan.
Thank you.
Okay. So Deb says, can't wait to read 1914 was fantastic.
Oh, nice. Okay, thank you.
And and a question about uh, do you like writing memoir or historical fiction better? Complicated question, I think.
It is a complicated question.
Mhm.
I am really proud of the fact that 14 and 19 are out there and I'm done with memoir.
Good.
I'm ready to move on to the fun stuff. And
Yes,
so I
you
think historical fiction is my going to be my and maybe a romance with my daughter. I don't know, rom-com.
yeah. Well, the you've you've paid your dues, and you've contributed deeply to society around the things that are important to you around your life. And it's not your whole life, all of that. And that's what
That's
you're
right.
saying. Yeah.
That's right. That is pretty amazing. I know.
Yeah. And that you have all these other interests and creativity and you're a talented writer. You can write anything, you
Well,
know?
I hope so. We'll see. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying even with three books, I still think, am I a writer? I mean, what is that? Is
Yeah.
it come from childhood or does it just come because we're women, because we're taught not to believe in ourselves? I don't know where that comes from,
All the above.
but I rage against it but I still don't get to conquer it. I'm one day at a time I get to go, okay, I am a writer. I have three books. I can't say I'm not a writer. And
Yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Well, I think the doubts that I mean, men have them too, but women, I mean, it's part of the sea, the pond, not the ocean, the pond we're swimming in,
Yeah.
which is only. I mean, there are women, of course, and you wrote about one of them, but have broken through boundaries, done amazing things. But it's not like it's a tsunami wave yet. It may yet happen, but lots of people are slowly crawling along going, can I stand up here? Dare I? And more of that's happening. But what you're talking about is the pond is a world made for men. I think about it when like you get one of these things where you're supposed to put something together and they give you the tools, right? And I'm not a total mechanic, but I'm not a total klutz either. But some of it I can't move the nut or the bolt or whatever because some strong guy, or maybe it was the machine, I don't know, tightened it down. And I'm like, okay, I mean, all right, get out the hammer and,
Oh,
try to
I
figure
know.
it out.
I
Mhm.
can't open up jars. I have to go find my husband and say,
Mm.
but
Yeah,
I bought this tool now that I can do it on my own.
I've heard that they exist. I might need to get one also. But there's the world of permission, which translates to self-permission
Yeah.
that you're really talking about. Do I have the right? I mean, I go through it sometimes. I recently been combing through because I'm writing this book. I'm combing through my computer and I do a keyword search in my entire document set on the computer, and I'm finding these things that apparently I wrote. I'm like, huh, did I write that? Oh, wow, really? I I'm shocked, and oh, that was a pretty good idea, huh? Why is it? Well, it's deeply hidden. It's not
Right.
hiding, it's just in the layers and layers and layers. Yeah.
Right. Right.
So time to uncover some of them. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the,
And I see the question over here about traditional publishing. And
mhm,
I did consider that briefly, but my most important thing was I needed to get published. And I had worked long and hard, and we had the money to hybrid publish. And it wasn't nearly as expensive back in 2014 as it is
right, it was
today.
less. Yeah,
And so I didn't want to spend years trying to find an agent who was going to try to sell my story because I mean, you think about the most fantastic stories like Wild or like Educated or like The Liars Club or like, Jeanette
mhm,
Wall's book, The Glass Castle.
mhm,
They are amazing stories, but they're not any more amazing than our stories. It's just that they had some connection inside the world of publishing or the
yep,
world of traditional publishing, and I didn't have that, and I didn't
right.
want to spend a lot of time looking for that. I wanted to get my
Mhm,
story out there because one of the things that's really difficult is that I want to do so much. It's like I want to do it all. And so I have to pick and choose. You have to pick and choose. I didn't want to spend 10 years waiting for
I
the right.
agree. I agree.
Yeah, I wanted to get on with it. I mean, I want my story out there and I want to be part of the record, and that I was clear about that from the very beginning, and I've accomplished that, and now I'm like, I'm
Yay
good.
for you.
I'm
Yay for
good with
you.
it.
But let's address that, because I don't know, lots of people are overtly not recommending traditional publishing for most memoirs. And of course, a lot of the people that I end up talking to are of a certain age also, and the clock is ticking. And it's. I mean, you can get an agent. You can spend years getting an agent, and like, yay, I got an agent. Oh, good. Well, at least somebody recognizes something, and that's lovely when that happens. But that doesn't mean you're going to sell a book to anybody. It just means you got an agent.
Exactly. That's only the first step in the process that could
Right.
be long and long. And
And if ever. So,
that is one of the great things about publishing when you're older. You
mhm.
have a little bit of money because you've worked your whole life, and if you want to funnel your money into your dream, then that's your choice. And that was my choice, is to fund my own dream. And my dream was to publish my stories, and I did it. So,
And for people who don't have the money that might be listening to us, there are really getting to be more and even better self-publishing helpers,
yes.
to create a really professional book. And I'm investigating some people to have as guests at NAMW so people can learn about their
All right.
company and, just have another choice along the way. Because it's possible to do a completely professional publishing job and have a published book that nobody can tell that it was, quote, self-published. If you do it a certain way, it's not possible to know, really.
That's right.
Yeah.
And why does it matter? Doesn't it
Yeah,
matter
that's
the
the other.
writing? Doesn't the writing and the story matter? I mean, isn't that the whole point? I mean, why do we have to play the game? It's a
Well,
game.
that's the pond we're swimming in.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
But that pond is getting smaller and our pond over here is getting bigger. Let's make more waves.
I love that. You're
Yes.
ending on such a wonderful wavy note here.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I really, really appreciate it.
No, it's been so fabulous. I'm gonna put the gallery up and have people unmute and say goodbye. Hold on, as soon as I can figure it out. Here, okay. Thank you, Leslie. It was wonderful. Everybody unmute and say goodbye.
Leslie, it was great.
Thank you, Leslie. I loved it.
Interesting.
you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Me too,
Thank you,
Leslie. You are
Leslie.
Good
was
luck on your
great.
projects. All you guys are
Yeah.
wonderful projects, I'm sure, and good luck on all of them. Yeah,
Thank you. You gave me so much
Thank you.
inspiration.
good. Excellent.
Good, lovely. Bye-bye. Bye,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Stay in touch.
You.
Take care. Thanks.